All right, what's up, guys? Taking you through a training session today, doing a little bit of Q&A with it. I really like doing training vlogs. I'm just really not good at setting this time aside to record it and be intentional about it. I like the vlogs because that's something that I grew up watching on YouTube. I would find bodybuilders, Jay Cutler, Phil Heath, a couple other guys as well, that I grew up watching, and they would do, they would have a cameraman or somebody come walk around the gym with them and kind of record their training sessions. They may, give out little tidbits of advice or whatever. And so I felt like doing a little Q&A maybe once a week alongside my training sessions, answering 3 to 4 questions, will kind of help hold me accountable to do more training vlogs, share a little bit more insight into how I train and, how I set things up. I'm really bad about sharing my training, like really exposing what I do, because I like to experiment a lot, and a lot of coaches like to stay by the book. There's definitely a lot of coaches that like to experiment as well, but a lot of them, kind of think the experimental side of things is maybe not the best approach, because you just don't. It's not proven. It's not. There's no scientific basis behind it. And I really just like. I view myself as an experiment. I'm a project. I really take foundational core principle approach to my training and my clients' training, but a lot of what I do with myself is purely experimental. I don't see myself. I have really large goals, but I don't see myself as being all-time squat world record holder, all-time world record deadlift holder. I don't see myself like that. And so while I do want to be a pro strongman someday, while I do really want to push, my powerlifting total towards the back end of my strength sports career, I really just like experimenting. I like trying new things out. I like doing different things. I like just trying different ways that I can stimulate the muscles or create exercises, or just the way I format things, the structure of my programs. So I feel like these Q&As will kind of help me just show a little bit more of my training and kind of share some of the experiments that I'm doing. One experiment that I'm doing for quite a while right now that I'm setting up is on my dynamic effort upper days. I'm running a little bit of circuit as my, I guess, like in my warm-up sets for my pressing movement, just doing a little bit of circuit with it. You'll kind of see that here in a second. So yeah, without further ado, this is hopefully the first of many training vlogs, especially for this prep. I think as of today, we are 17 weeks out from my strongman competition, which is a ways away. But I've been dealing with a lot of injuries and just bumps in the road over the last 2 years. I finally feel like I'm in, a pretty decent spot right now. I've been dealing with some knee fuckery for a while. Finally getting to a point where I can just feel like I can push and just train as normal. And it feels really good. So, I kind of lost my train of thought there. So this kind of 17 weeks I've really been laying the groundwork, since my last competition in November. Really just trying to get healthy, and then set up a block, phase 1, to really get myself in a position to where I can really start to build upon the foundation that I built. And still kind of viewing this as building a foundation. My next competition this summer is definitely not my last, and definitely my hope is setting me up for the rest of the year to find a couple more competitions, or really just put myself in a position to, again, just inch closer and closer towards my goals, getting in bigger competitions, getting around higher level competition, and just seeing what, my body and mind are made of, and seeing what I can do. So to start, we'll get to a question after, probably after my circuit, because I'm not going to be able to answer a question winded, or at least it's just going to sound like a dying animal talking. So what we got here, we're gonna do 4 rounds of this. This is just kind of like my warm up, my presets working into my main pressing for the day. So we got axle bar shoulder press, and then we got I think 3 reps there, 4 med ball slams, and then 5 dual kettlebell snatches. So without further ado, let's get into it. The reason I'm implementing that circuit is primarily to obviously build work capacity, just general physical preparedness, obviously conditioning. But the big reason why is I really looked at a lot of my training over the years to just see, when was I, the most in shape? When was I the strongest? When did my squat feel the best? When did my pressing feel the best? And what were I doing during those times to get the most out of my training? I feel like over the last couple of years, especially, I have just read and consumed so much information that I kind of just got so deep in the weeds with things that I was trying way too many things that really weren't conducive to my training. I felt like I was doing maybe a little too much experimenting. And I feel like I got away from some of the things that have worked in the past. And that is why some things led to some of the hiccups I've experienced. Just because, like, for example, like the knee issue, when I kind of not really got over it, but I've been dealing with this knee issue since college. So it's 2026, so whatever, 6 years now, off and on. For a good couple of years there, I really didn't deal with, any knee bullshit. And I credit backward sled drags and band hamstring curls to a lot of that. And then I kind of looked at my training over a year or so, and I noticed that at one point in time, for whatever reason, just the volume incrementally started dropping on my sled drags and my hamstring curls, or banded hamstring curls. And so therefore, that kind of led to some hiccups, bumps in the roads. At least that's the correlation I put together there. So those things now never leave. They're always in minimum multiple times a week. And so just kind of took the overall approach of looking at my training in general from, the last 8 to 10 years. And just seeing what's worked, seeing what I like, seeing what, I didn't like, what didn't work. And so one of those things was I got really, really into CrossFit one summer, and that's when I was in the best shape of my life, honestly. But that's because I was doing a lot of just EMOMs, rounds for time, AMRAPs, things of that nature. And so my upper body is definitely a lagging weakness. Now I know the conditioning side of things isn't going to build me muscle. But it's going to set me up to be able for my upper body to handle more work, handle more of a load. And one thing that I noticed from my last prep, when I was doing log clean and press, that shit just beat my shoulders up. I did not put myself in a position, I did not put my shoulders and upper back in a position to be able to handle the demands of what the log was requiring of me, essentially. And so one big thing that I've taken this, off season so far is really prioritizing just building up my upper body, building the strength, the capacity of it. And so I feel like this dynamic effort circuit is going to really aid in being able to allow me to perform more work with my upper body, therefore leads to, more gains down the road, a stronger upper frame, to utilize for pressing and all that good stuff. So now we're going to work into just axle bar shoulder press. Then I'm just going to do, I got 5x5 with a slow eccentric today. And let's get into it. I got a lot of time, to really build up my upper body and really get prepared for this show. And like I said, I'm kind of using this show as a catapult for the rest of the year. So I'm really just trying to lay the groundwork right now, trying to be patient, really just focusing on building my foundation. So like I said, I can set myself up to really start pushing into those higher level competitions, putting myself around higher level competitors, to just really push myself and see what I'm made of. So first question of the day. This video is probably 8 or 9 minutes long now and haven't answered a single question, so that's awesome. First question is, what are my go-to carb sources? I got asked this from a buddy who's starting to get back into, tracking his nutrition and things of that nature. I really like, obviously, white rice, jasmine rice, basic stuff. Potatoes are really good. I really just like to utilize carb sources that are going to be very low in fat, because fat has a lot more calories per gram than carbs do. And so a lot of people think that, like, let's take muffins for example. A lot of people think muffins are a source of high carbs. It's really just not the case. Muffins have a lot of fat in them, from the butter, oil, eggs, whatever, that stuff. And so typically muffins are a high source of fat, not really a high source of carbs, or at least calorie speaking wise. And so a lot of people tend to, eat these processed carbs and think they're the problem, when really it's all the fat that's in stuff. That's kind of sneaking in those calories that you're not really seeing. So I like carbs with low fat content: oats, cream of rice, fruit, potatoes, white rice, sourdough bread. Coconut water is another good source of carbs. It's not going to have a ton unless you chug a good amount, but I like to utilize coconut water intra-workout because that little bit of carbs comboed with some extra carb powder as well as electrolytes is going to keep me fueled during my training sessions. Those are probably the base of what I base my carbs around. I really don't get too crazy. I have oats or cream of rice on the mornings I train during the week. And then, rice for lunch and dinner, and then I throw in a potato there. Throwing a potato for dinner a couple of nights a week, on days I train or if I'm just feeling a little bit hungry. And then fruit, bananas, apples, oranges, berries across the board. That's pretty much makes up my fruit content, but I mean, really anything's good: cantaloupe, kiwi, avocado, whatever. It's all good stuff. Avocado's gonna be more in fat though, so I'm not sure why I said that. But those are my go-to carb sources. Those allow me to feel and perform the best. They get into my system quickly, for the most part. And then other ones, help me stay full, like the oats and the potatoes, on days where I'm feeling a bit hungrier. So second set of this shoulder press, here we go. All right, last set here, about 125 on the bar, nothing to bring home about. Finally got some music going. You guys probably think I'm fucking psychotic. My plan is to answer a question at different points in my training session. So here in a little bit, catch you guys up after this to answer another question. Really enjoying this. So if you guys have any questions, shoot them down below in the comments. I can answer them there, obviously, or make a social media post about it, or like I said, throw it into this Q&A training blog that I'm doing. So last set here, let's get it. A little more of a grind than I was expecting. All right, so this is what I got next. One of my favorite lat pull down variations, the Cobra lat pull down. Been pairing this with the dumbbell Z press. Dumbbell Z press is real nice on my shoulders because it really makes you set your scaps in the right position to be able to keep yourself obviously staying upright throughout the whole duration of the movement, keeping your core tight, but really just being able to extend overhead. You have to get your scaps in a good position, and I really feel like the dumbbell Z press really helps me feel that position that I need to be in, but it also really just helps my shoulders feel strong, feel healthy. Like I said, after my last strongman count, I could barely shoulder press overhead because my shoulders were so beat up because I just hadn't prepared them in the right way. And so this dumbbell Z press has definitely been a staple, bring it in and out, from time to time, but it's definitely one of those things that stays in the rotation fairly frequently, just because it helps my shoulders, feel better. Even when they're not feeling good, it definitely helps them feel better week to week. So I'm jumping into it. Answer a question after this set. All right, next question. Do I really eat the same things every day? For the most part, yes. Not a lot of people like to hear this because a lot of people can't adhere to it. So the biggest thing with nutrition, the training plan, whatever it is, whatever your goals are, you have to find what you're gonna be able to adhere to be able to get you there. If you wanna lose weight, you gotta find the diet that you're gonna be able to consistently and sustainably stick with year round. Otherwise, you're not gonna just go on some 12-week diet and get the body of your life and just be able to maintain that forever. That's not how that shit works. You have to find what is going to be able to, be adhered to year round. Because this is a lifestyle. It's not a 12-week thing. It's not a half a year thing. It's not a 1 year thing and then you're just good to go forever. This is a fucking year-round commitment. Year after year after year. So for me, eating the same things works every day. That is just what works for me. Now on the weekends, get a little bit loose here and there. If we're nearing in a competition, the dinners become a little bit more healthy, I would say. Because on the weekends, yes, I do like to enjoy a little bit of life. My wife and I might make burgers and fries. We might make a pizza. Sometimes the pizza is a little bit healthier because we use 2-ingredient pizza, flour, self-rising flour and Greek yogurt. But other times it's an oven pizza for me, or it's, we're making a big old thing of pasta with some meat and breadsticks. And it doesn't always look clean, all the time for me. But my breakfasts don't change, my lunches don't change, and Monday through Friday, my dinners don't change. I say they don't change, they change a tinge every now and then. Like I said, I might have beef and rice and throw a little bit of potato in there, and that's different than normal. But for me, this is just what works. I know that if I eat X, Y, and Z every day, I know what my macros are. I weigh everything out, but I don't have to go into an app and track it every single meal that I'm eating. I know that 8 ounces of meat plus 200 grams of rice gives me these macros. And if I eat that every single day, those macros aren't gonna fluctuate if I'm weighing the food out. Now, yes, water content, yada, yada, whatever the fuck ever. Things can definitely change. But the thing to keep in mind there is, this is what works for me. You have to find what works for you. What works for me might not work for you. And what works for you might not work for me. I'm not someone who wants to go buy 40 different ingredients at the grocery store to make 3 meals for the week and use that as my meal prep. To me, it just seems like a silly waste of time. I don't buy 1,000 sauces. I really don't use a ton of seasonings aside from salt and black pepper. Now, yes, if I'm making chicken, we're gonna season that bitch up. But like ground beef, I just throw taco seasoning on it. It's just what works for me. So I eat pretty much the same things every day, Monday through Friday, because like I said, I don't have to track it in an app. I weigh my food out, so I know if I'm eating the same things every day, my macros aren't gonna change. And then like I said, on the weekends, you gotta track a little bit more just because if dinners fluctuate. But a lot of the times, my not heavier training sessions, but my longer duration training sessions are on the weekends. So some extra calories aren't going to hurt that aspect, but I really do have to keep things in check because I am unfortunately a weight class athlete in the sport of strongman, and even powerlifters out there have to keep an eye on their weight and things of that nature. So it's just about what works for you, man. Find the foods that you enjoy and that you can stick with. You can learn to cook on YouTube. I took a culinary class in high school, so if my dumb ass can learn how to cook, you can learn how to cook, all right? It's not hard to throw some chicken in a pan, throw some chicken in a glass, whatever, jar, throw it in the oven, cook it up, season the hell out of it, and you're good to go. There's just so many recipes, there's so many things out there, there's so many content creators, there's so much information out there that if you can't find a diet / nutrition plan, it's going to work for you. If you can't figure out how to make your meals taste good, to be able to stick to your plan, that's on you, man. Like it's all on you. It's the food that goes in your mouth is in your control, whether you like to hear it or not. Sorry, I kind of got off on a rant on this topic. This question, just to me, it's not easy, but it's simple. Because it's, like I said, it's just about finding what works for you, and what works for you may not work for everyone else. So you got to experiment, you got to try things out, but at some point in time, you just got to put your head down and get the job done, so you can get to the you can achieve the results that you're really truly after. Upper back circuit, got some Zercher shrugs, cable pull parts, and some polyquin raises today. Hitting you guys with the last question on the Q&A, wrapping up this training session. I was a little hesitant to throw this question in because I'm a little passionate about this, and I don't feel like enough people realize the opportunity that we've been granted in life. But I get asked by dudes all the time, how do you stay motivated, man? Or like, how do you find the motivation? You're gonna fucking die, man. You're going to fucking die someday. You are not put on this earth to just go to work every day and pay bills, eat, sleep, shit, and die. We're just not. I think my biggest fear in life is just I do not want to be like anyone else. I want to be as far away from average as I possibly can be. My worst fear is I'm going to get to the end and look back on my one life that I've been given and think of the regrets rather than the memories and the experiences. I just know that I've made a pact with myself is I don't want to sit on my deathbed and have questions. I don't want to look back and ask what if, because you ain't getting it back. There ain't no second run at this. You get one life. And I just think so many people sell themselves short. I think so many people settle into comfort. I think so many people feed into the propaganda that we're fed, that it's impossible, it's too hard, that you're not capable, that you can't do it. And it's just bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. We're all plenty capable. We all have a gift and ability inside of us. And that's the thing. I do not want to be like anyone else. I do not want to be normal. I do not want to be average. I think that's the thought that kills me the most is, what do I fear? It's just being like just everybody else. You want to ask why I stay fucking motivated? That's fucking why, dude. Because I don't want to fucking be just another person. I don't want to just look and be like everyone else. I don't want to just make a measly amount of income and just live, or not even live, just exist. We all have a gift. We all have passions in our heart and our mind, and we all have goals. And it's up to you to sack the fuck up and do something about it, because you're gonna get to the end, and there ain't no coming back. There ain't no, like I said, there ain't no rerun. There ain't no second run. If you don't do what you want to do right now with the life you've been given, you're never gonna be able to. And I don't have kids yet. I have a wife. I'm the leader in my household. If I want my wife to take care of her health, eat right, work out, I gotta do the same. I gotta lead from the front. if I want my kids someday to be contributing members of society and be good people, I have to emulate that example. I have to be the one in my household that sets the precedent, that sets the standard. And that goes for every one of you that's watching this video. You are the leader in your household. And you set the example. You set the tone. If you want other people in your household to fall in line with the standards that you have for yourself or the standards you wish to put out into the world, it's no one else's responsibility but your own. And I have taken that responsibility upon myself a long time ago, that not even for my house, but for myself, that I'm not going to be a fucking slob. I'm not going to not take care of myself. I'm not going to not be capable. I'm not going to be able to not defend myself. And I stand on that. That's my standard. I just refuse to accept anything less. I just don't, and this is where I was hesitant to post this video. I just don't fucking understand people, man. How can you look yourself in the mirror and just look at your life and not be where you want to be, or not look the way you want to look, and that not be all the fucking motivation you need? Motivation is fucking bullshit, man. Like, you don't need to be motivated. You literally just need to put one foot in front of the other and go get the job done. It's that simple. Not every day you're gonna want to do it. You think I want to do this shit every single day? Most days, actually, I don't. Like, because it's just an inconvenient. Waking up early, doing it after work, doing it on the weekends when I could just be relaxing. But again, I do not want to be like everyone else. I do not want to be fucking average. I do not want to be normal. And therefore, I refuse to accept anything less. And I just think it's the it comes down to the standard that you have for yourself. If you're not living up to that standard, if you're not holding that standard consistently, then you're just not going to feel, content or happy with what you see or what you're getting out of life. And I just refuse to accept anything less. I've just come to I realize that I have capabilities, I have talents and skills, but I also just have a work ethic, and none of those other things are promised besides the work. The work is the only thing that is guaranteed. This is never going anywhere. The weights are always going to be here. That track's always going to be there. It's just a matter if you're willing to show up or not. So, kind of got a little off on the rant there, but I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A. I can definitely go in more and more in depth in that topic because it just lights me up, as you can see. But I hope you guys got a lot out of this. I really enjoyed making it. If you have any questions for future Q&As, shoot them down below, or send me a DM on Instagram at abe_strength, or get at me in some way. I would love to help you guys and answer your questions, and I'd love to throw them in this video or in these videos, as I continue to do them. So I appreciate all you guys' support. Thank you.